First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for the invitation and to have the possibility to share with you some ideas. The lecture that I will present will be about the implications after 15 years of transgenic soybean in the River Plate Basin. This is a part of the project that we are developing with Walter Penge at the Ecology Department at the Universidad Nacional de General Sarmiento that is located in Argentina, Buenos Aires. So, in this presentation, we'll see the cropland expansion, the natural, it's very close, here, okay, the croplands expansions, the natural characteristics of Argentina, the arable land expansion, the industrial agriculture model in South America and also in the River Plate Basin and in Argentina too, and the GM and no-tillage systems, and the ecological, social, cultural too, and economic consequences. So, in this map, for the introduction, I want to show you the cropland expansion from 1700 to 1990. Please watch the year that the first year is 1700, and we'll see the, it doesn't work. We'll see the cropland land with the red areas. Now, yes? Wow. Well, we see the cropland lands in the red areas, and we see that these areas are increasing, replacing other natural areas. Please watch careful that this is 19th century, and well, we see this replacing for 1950, 1970, and 1990, the last year we have in this map. So we can say that it is a brief history of the agriculture, industrial agriculture. So, here on the left we see the South America map, and on the right Argentina. And even though Argentina is the 8th largest country in the world, if we see the density population is the number 200. So we have a large territory with a very small population. And if we see the natural conditions like climate that is predominantly temperate, and the soil that I'll speak about this in a few minutes, we have no serious restrictions for food and for energy production. So, look at this map. This is a world map where we can find the richest soil for agriculture production. And one of these places, these places with the richest soils is located in Argentina, in South America. Not only in Argentina, but also in the River Plate Basin, that in a few minutes I'll speak about this. So in these areas, we can do the best, we have the richest soil for the agriculture production. So, and this graph shows the sources of growth in crop production from 2005 to 2050. This is a tendency of the increases in yields, cropping intensity, and arable land for the world, for the developing countries, South Asia, for instance, and Latin America. And we see that for Latin America, and we will have 40% of the arable land. So this is not a good scenario because, as I'll show you, this means that we'll have to deforest a lot of lands for have this 40%, no? So the same information we can save in this table where we see the arable land expansion from different regions in the world. And we see that Latin America has, for instance, in the annual growth from 1961 to 2007, the highest annual growth. And we will have, because of the tendency, one of the biggest million hectares destined to these activities. And the same information we can see again, but in this graph, that shows the arable land and land under permanent crops for food, feed, and fire production. The blue line corresponds to the world tendency, and the other, the red and green line, the developing and developed countries. And when we compare these lines, we can see that the tendencies of the developing countries is that it will increase, but if we see the developed countries, it has a gradual decrease, and this could be because the developed countries are thinking in reforesting or are thinking in to recover lands. So, well, this is a big difference between the developing and the developed countries. And here in this graph, we see the replacement of cereals by oilseeds. This is particularly for Argentina. And we can see that in 1996, we have a sharp increase that you told us. And this is because of the opening of soybean, GM soybean, that was happening in Argentina in 1996. So this sharp increase, we'll see this behavior in other graphs and in other slides that I showed you. Well, if we see what's happening with the industrial agriculture model in South America, on the left we have a map of South America, and the green-blue areas correspond to the soybean production. And in the center of the slide is imposted the River Plate Basin. So we can see that a lot of these areas of soybean production is inside of the River Plate Basin. And look at this advertisement that is from Syngenta that show us the United Republic of the Soybeans, that the limits of this republic, the new republic, is very similar to the limits of the the Plate Basin River that I showed you. So the River Plate Basin is very important because it's the second largest hydric system in South America and the 5th in the world. It have a lot of territories like Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. But if we see the concentration of the industrial activities, it's located in the Paraná River. This is the main rivers in the River Plate Basin. And here, here we have in the Paraná River important cities such as Buenos Aires, Rosario. All of these cities are located on the soils with the highest capacity for production in the Argentina, in the country. And this is because we can explain the important complex of ports that we have there. Now we have more than 20 ports in this fluvial complex, and this is the biggest agro-industrial cluster of oilseeds in the world, no? And that is located in the Paraná waterway, Paraná. Well, and if we see the numbers of the surface area planted of the main summer crops, we can see in the blue line the surface area planted for the soybean, and the other, the corn, sunflower, or sorghum. So we can see the difference and the sharp increase that begins in the 1996. And here in this graph is very interesting because we can see the relationship between the uses of the pesticides and fertilizers with the no-till system. And in the same graph, we can see, again, that has a sharp increase in 1996 of the GM soybean, no? Because I told you why, no? So this graph is very important because we can see this relationship. So if we present this, we have that the new agriculture model in Argentina is made up of GM crops plus no-tillage and plus glyphosate, the use of glyphosate. In this photo, we have a glyphosate field with a stubble of wheat, and well, this has a lot of advantage because when you have this stubble, this reduces the evapotranspirations, so also protect the seed of the soybean, and when you use the glyphosate, we can kill the other growth of plants. So, what's the deal with the transgenic crops and no-tillage system? Well, the combination of these two techniques has increased the level of the intensive farming for export. The main aim has been to compete in the agricultural world market. Also, the very good prices and low cost for cash crops production. The farmers of developing countries are facing a problem with distorted markets. And obviously, this is not an easy task. A market that is often distorted by the agricultural subsidies received in many countries. So it's very difficult to compete with this technological package. So if we see the expansion of soybean cultivation in Argentina from 1956 to 2005, we can see that it has a rate of expansion very, very important. So this expansion, not only in the areas that have the natural conditions for the soybean production, but also in other parts of our country, has a lot of consequences that I'll explain you now. And I'll explain you the negative consequences, because these consequences are not only ecological, but also cultural, social, economical consequences. So the main process that we can see in this process of expansion is the pampianization. It's a process that Penge calls pampianization. That means that we are exporting the model of the soybean production in other parts of the country that don't have the natural conditions for this kind of production. For instance, the water, the kind of soils, the types of soils. So, well, here in the green area we have the Pampas region that had the natural conditions with no serious restrictions, but in the north of our country we had to plus a lot of energy, a lot of water, a lot of to have the same soybean production. So this pampianization has a lot of negative consequences. One of these is the increase of the land cost because of the international prices and the new demands for crops. And this increase of the land cost produces the deforestation. So this is a photo of the north of our country. And obviously, this deforestation is converting the native lands into rural lands, and the forest, for instance, in Chaco, that is a region of the north of Argentina, into Pampa plains. Well, another consequence is the CO2 emissions because of the burning of the corn tines that is necessary to have the soybean production. And obviously the impact of the coverage and land use is local, but when we analyze the sedimentation and contamination, this happens lower in the River Plate Basin. In this image, we can see an image satellite that is from the estuary of the River Plate, and well, this color, this brown color, or this density of color corresponds to the sediment that is growing because of the deforestation upper in the basin. Well, and we can add the loss of nutrient cycling, the habitats, the loss of habitats, carbon sequestration, production of raw materials, regulation of water flow, and control of the erosion. Here we have three schematics, and on the right we can see the landscape extremely deforesting. No? So we can see all of these impacts in this graph. So, and one of the consequences, for instance, is the flooding in the cities that are downstream of the areas where these activities is being producing. The first is in Santa Fe, and the second is in Tartagal, Salta, that is located in the north of Argentina. So, and another consequence is by invasions because of the resistant weeds. We can see this landscape and think that it's a crop, but not. Bueno, it's a weed, the Aleppo, Sorghum alepense, that is growing in the north of Argentina, in Salta, for instance. This photo is from Salta. And the other negative consequence is the overexploitation of soils. When we are exportation, we are not only exportation crops, we are exportation nutrients and water, for instance. This is a paper of Penge, that the name is Virtual Soil and International Trade, that he shows the nutrients that we are exportation and the nutrients that are strongly decreasing. For instance, in the graph, we see the ton exported in soybeans related to the macronutrients for the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. And again, we can see the sharp increase in 1996. And all of these macronutrients, the phosphorus is the main macronutrient that is being exported. Well, this graph shows for all this area where we have the soybean production, but in the center of the Pampas is the biggest area that we are exporting phosphorus. And this graph is related to the micronutrients, but the unit is kilograms exported in soybeans for the boron, chlorine, copper, iron, magnesium, molybdenum, and zinc. And again, we see the effect of the 1996. But also, I told you that we have not only ecological, but also social cost because of the rural displacement, social changes in the rural family. And in the north of our country, where lives indigenous people, we have the impacts on these people too. Oh, well, this slide shows the reduction of farmers, and well, the numbers show the difference between two censuses of rural farmers, and well, here you can't see the numbers, but show that between the first census and the second in 2002, and now this year we'll have the other census, we have a high reduction of farmers. The first is in the region Pampa, but also we have this reduction of farmers in northeast, northwest, Patagonia, Cuyo, all these areas that now have the natural conditions for the soybean production. So now I want to tell you that we have the Argentine National Program for Food and Agroindustrial Sector. The name is Argentina Food Agroindustrial Leadership 2010-2020. And the main aim is to develop a model of add value during this period. And if we see an average of this added value shows that will be an increment of 80%, but particularly for the soybean complex, we see a plus of 93%. And well, so my final comments related with the presentation is that in South America, the projection for 2050 is that this region will have the 40% arable land. So, as I told you, it will intensify the deforestation with all the negative consequences that I showed you. The cash crops are transforming the agro-industrial model in those countries, especially in the River Plate Basin. The arable land and land under permanent crop production has or will have, because of the tendency shows that will have an increase in developing countries, but a decrease in developed countries. That the soybean production in South America is inside the River Plate Basin, because of this we are developing a project there to study the impact of the River Plate. Also that the Paraná River is located, in the Paraná River is located the biggest agroindustrial cluster for oilseeds in the world. That the new agricultural model in Argentina is made up of GM crops, NTAs, and glyphosate. That the no-tillage produce an intensification in the use of glyphosate and other related herbicides with herbicide-resistant transgenic crops. And well, the process that I told you, the pampianization, that have several negative consequences because we are exporting this model in other parts that don't have the natural characteristics. And well, that's all. Thank you for your time. And I only want to 10 seconds. One announcement that in June in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, will be held the 12th Biennial Conference of the International Society for Ecological Economics. And the other is that in June 2, we'll have the first Latin American Congress of Urban Ecology. So, and thank you for your listening. If you have more questions, you can speak up later.